Where did your family come from, and why did they come to Lenawee County?
They came from a small town in southern Texas. The name of the town was Cotulla, Texas. And they came up here for the job opportunities that were here that weren't there. And the auto industry was going, and that's why we came here.
And who decided your family would come here?
Who decided? I think it was a combination between my mom and my dad because of the level of life back there was pretty low. I mean, my father worked for no wages during the Depression just to get a meal ticket at the local grocery store. So then it migrated up to 50 cents a day, $1 a day. And the opportunities just weren't there. He loved it because he worked on a ranch and he loved the horses and the cattle and the hunting and all that, but it was no future for his family. And his parents were fairly well off, and so were my mom and dad's family were fairly well off, but it didn't look like that was going to be the case in their case.
What method of travel did you take to get here? Did your family take?
Well, they came the first time, they came in 42, and then they came back in 46. And I don't remember if it was in 42 or 46 that they started out in a, what they call like a 1.5 ton flatbed truck, Chevy truck, and they put wooden sides about 4 foot high on it, and then they put whooping willow hoops on it and covered it with a canvas. And it was like a motorhome. And everybody came in the flatbed truck with a canvas cover on it. And that's the way you came, you know. You had a porta potty, you know, like a bedpan. That was where they went to the bathroom and then. So, and they had water and water jugs and what have you. And like I said, it would be, today, you know, a modernization of that would be a motorhome. And they came here on the back of the truck. And they actually brought a couple of young couples came with them, along with the initial family, which was 6 of us, plus my mom and dad, total of 8, plus 2 young couple that were just freshly married, to help pay off for the trip that was going to be made for gasoline, what have you.
And what area of Lenawee did you settle in?
The first time they came and they settled in the Britain area, and of course they were migrant workers. But the second time I specifically remember because I was a couple of years old and I heard the stories and stuff from there, and they settled in Wauseon, Ohio, as tomato pickers, and that's where they landed that I can remember. I remember my dad saying the first time was in Britain. And he worked there as a herdsman in a dairy farm, and also in the crops. They had crops as well, but mainly it was in Wauseon, Ohio.
Okay. And since you had so many people that came with you, what was your living arrangement like? Did you all live in one house, or? Well,
I can remember just us family. The fella in Wauseon, they had the tomato fields. He had a chicken coop. And we stayed in a chicken coop. My mom put up white sheets in the ceiling and white sheets for partitions in there, and had a dirt floor, and she swept it every day.
What are some of your childhood memories?
Well, back then, I can remember my mom making a lot of tortillas by hand the night before, because in the morning when they head out for the field, she'd had to cook breakfast, and she made breakfast burritos, what we call breakfast burritos today, which was basically pinto beans, refried pinto beans with eggs, and she wrapped them up in wax paper, and she had to make a lot because there was 8 of us, you know. And that was some of the memories I can remember back when we were in the fields.
Does your family have any special sayings or expressions?
Special sayings? No, not. Kind of all the people they met for probably the the lack of remembering a person's name, they nicknamed everybody, you know. Every people that we knew had a nickname, you know. They didn't go by Amy Johnson, you know. They would go by the girl with the black dress, you know. And then that's the way you would remember, but you would be always Amy Johnson, but you'd be referred to in the house as the lady with the black dress, you know. That was kind of a tradition that was in our family, you know. Always got a nickname, I guess you should call it.
How are holidays traditionally celebrated in your family?
For Christmas, we always made tamales and buñuelos. That was kind of the thing back then. Is very traditional, and the wife carries it on to this day. My wife does.
Do you have any family heirlooms or keepsakes that were handed down to you?
Just pictures, you know. I have pictures of my grandparents, and that's about the only thing that I have is the grandparents. Now, from my parents, I have a lot of the, how do I want to say, the things that my dad, because being a cowboy, when he came here, he actually helped start the Michigan Roping Association, and it is going to this day. And he did a lot of making of horse equipment, which was bridles and reins and crops and whips and all kinds of horse-related items. So I have those that he made back in the day, you know, and he sold them for extra money.
They were leather and he braided.
He braided. He was a terrific person to braid. He could braid up to probably 160 strands of rawhide. You know, he was very, very, very handy to do that.
Wow. Does your family have any stories of discrimination that you'd like to share?
How do I probably have the most. Not so much my parents, because my parents, they were pretty homebodied, kept to themselves, you know, type of people, mind their own business. But because I started school here, I happened to get in a lot of squabbles with kids, because back in that era, when I was growing up and going to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, the big thing back then was the Cowboys and Indians. They came on TV, and it was always about the Cowboys and Indians. Well, there was a segment in there that Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, probably you don't even remember these people.
I've heard of them.
Well, I don't know if you ever heard or seen the movie The Alamo.
Long time ago.
Where Santa Anna took over the southern part of Texas and killed all these heroes. So that didn't set good with some of the kids, because supposedly my ancestors killed everybody at the Alamo, the Davy Crockett, and you would get into that sort of thing. So that kind of stuff was there. And then you always had, not everybody, but some of the kids at school would pick on you and call you names, you know, because of your heritage, you know. So that was there for a long time, and it didn't go away, and probably it's there to this day, but it may be at a different level, you know. But that's never going to go away, because this is America and this is a melting pot, so people are going to discriminate forever. It's never going to go away.
What occupations did your family members have when they first arrived in Lenawee County?
When they first came, they were migrant workers, so they worked in the fields picking tomatoes, pickles, whatever. So that's pretty much what they did. Once everybody, but it was decided that we were not going back, my father, he found a job. There was a lot of manufacturing facilities that made auto parts, and he got a job where they did all the chroming of all the car hoods and hubcaps and what have you, but he soon didn't like that. And it was kind of dangerous to this day, because they use a lot of chrome, and those are heavy metals, and he was smart enough to get out of that. He went to work at a steel mill, a small steel mill over on Michigan Street here in Adrian, where they made, and back in the day they made manhole covers, but when he went to work for them, they were making steel shot that was used in the automotive industry to blast the castings, when the motor block castings and castings for tractors and what have you, and they made the blast media, and to this day that shop is still going. And he found a job there, and then my other brothers, they found jobs at two of the plants, actually where the Chevy plant is to this day, well, it is not Chevy, I don't know what they call it, but anyways, it used to be the Chevy plant, the old Chevy plant. They made airplane wings there for the B-52 bombers. So they got into the aluminum business, and they went quite a ways, because once that shop shut down, the one brother went to New Jersey and worked in an aluminum shop and became a vice president of manufacturing. So we all ended up finding homes, and actually 4 of us worked for the shop business here in Adrian. And all my other brothers, the one brother went to New Jersey, but the rest of us all worked at the shop business. I spent 42 and a half years there. When I left, I was a superintendent, so we all had fairly good jobs.
And
My dad retired from there, I retired from there. 2 of my brothers, others retired from there.
do you involve yourself in any multicultural activities?
Well, I didn't for a long time because, like all my brothers and I, we all served the military, so we're pretty patriotic to the United States, okay? This is our country, even though we have cultures and our nationalities are Mexican Americans, but we're Americans first and the other second. So I never got involved with it because I didn't think it was, how do you say, the right thing for us to be raising any kind of a flag here that was from Mexico. I'm not from Mexico, I'm from the United States, So I kind of patriotic to the flag. I didn't like to see any of that. But here, as I got older, I kind of changed and reversed a little bit, and I participate in their parade sometimes when I'm asked, okay, with my horses and stuff. But that's been, like the Cinco de Mayo, I kind of participate. I don't totally agree with it, but enough that I will participate and help them because they're asking, okay? And it is my nationality.
Different names have been used to identify your race: Latino, Mexican American, Hispanic, etc. What name do you prefer to be identified with, and why?
Well, I guess my starting point is kind of I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong, but that the first thing you need to know is that question there doesn't pertain there, and first thing you should do is know what races are in America, and that's the 4 races, and that's white, black, yellow, and red. It has nothing to do with being called Latino or Mexican American or Hispanic. So that's the first thing that needs to be straightened out, is learn what a race is and not a nationality of your background or your ancestry. 2 different things, and this has been misused for a long time. It might be self-inflicted from the people that are Latinos, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, whatever, South Americans, and I think that should be straightened out, and I hope something can be done, because this should, if you're going to do it like this, you should do it for whether you're German, Dutch, Swedish, English, don't matter what other country you come from, you should have it broke down. What are you? Are you this? Why is it just strictly on the Latino basis? And I said maybe they're self-inflicted. So I'm saying I'm an American. First, I'm a Mexican by descent, or my culture is Mexican, but I'm an American Mexican born in the United States, and I'm white for race. So everything else is to me is incorrect, and has been incorrect, and it needs to be corrected, but I don't know how you're going to correct it.